Thanks for joining again. Beautiful evening here, and I'd honestly forgotten how nice it is to arrive at location before the sun's gone down. More often than not, I'm arriving when it's already pitch black and I'm stumbling around in the dark trying to find my way around. Even once you've done scouting on locations, it's always adds a factor of difficulty there. So tonight, late Milky Way season, perfect westerly aspect here over these old cottage lawns. I'm going to get my G-Master 35mm out and do a panoramic of the foreground here with my A7R2, and then I'm probably going to move on to a clearer area just down the road, about 1 kilometre away, where I can get clear visibility of the sky, and I will do a tracked and stacked panorama of the Milky Way core. So all going well, it should be an enjoyable night, but along the journey for tonight, I sort of want to go through some tracking options I've been using here for the Southern Hemisphere in particular, as I've already covered in previous videos. No pole star, alignment is a bit of a fine art in itself. So I've been using everything from just a digital compass to apps that are similar to like photo pills, Polar Align Pro, Celestial 2. These sort of apps using the gyroscope within your phone that can give you a good base level polar alignment. But the problem with that is the gyroscope in your mobile phone is never more accurate than about 1 or 2 degrees. So for wide field, that's quite all right. So 20mm, maybe even 35mm, you might get up to a minute with that sort of alignment. But once you really want to dial it in and maybe do 1 or 2 minute exposures, or go to 50 or 85mm and actually do 30 seconds or more sort of exposure, you want to maybe get it a little bit more aligned than that. So I have been using an app called SkEye Cam, and it brings something to your phone that I don't believe is covered in any other application. So it brings plate solving to your mobile phone. I think in the last sort of year to 18 months rather, a lot of maturity I've seen start getting into the app, so I can start using it knowing I am going to get a polar alignment out of it. Early days it was a bit, like throwing mud at a wall and just seeing if it's stuck or not. But what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to take you through and show you how I use not only the digital compass, and Celestial 2 is my current favourite of gyroscope based apps, but I'm going to show you how to use SkEye Cam and how to set it up so that it's doing a plate solved based polar alignment. So that's probably enough of me rambling on for now. I'm going to go maybe have a drink, get myself set up to do this foreground panoramic once we enter into blue hour, and all the intense sort of westerly sunset there sort of dies down a bit. So shooting ISO 800 f4, and I think I went for 15 seconds, and I'm shooting with the meter at around a third of a stop over. So I just want to be able to have that exposure time sort of breathing space, I guess, so that as the light fades, I can extend the shutter speed and ensure I'm getting, more or less the same exposure. So come to stitching time, I'm not going to get any funny exposure blending artifacts. I reckon this one will about do it for the pan across. I might go up one just so I'm sure I've got the top of these trees beside the cottage. So I won't go up too much, step around. Righto, that should do it. I'll just have a quick review, make sure I'm happy with all the shots, and then yeah, probably pack things up and head down to the next spot to yeah, get all set up ready for my stacked tracked panorama of the Milky Way core, which yeah, I'll need to be ready to sort of hit the ground running for when it gets dark properly. Righto, we'll see you then. It's been a great night out, but I could feel time slipping away from me there before, so I decided to get in and bag my shots for my panorama, and then I'll swing back around to show how I do my polar alignment with my phone apps. So essentially what I'll do when I get myself set up as so is get my polar star tracker even roughly aligned with my celestial pole. So south is where I'm heading here, and I'll use a digital compass. And what I'll do with that is I'll just make sure I've got the true heading, and I'll make sure that it is pointing as close as I can get to 180 degrees south. So that should get me ballpark. And this is true of digital compass and gyroscope apps, is they will get some interference from your electronics in your gear, your camera gear. So this is all with the tracker off in this state. So once I get it roughly aligned, I will spin on my little phone clamp. So some of you may have used one of these already. It's just I got this one off MSM, but you can get them off eBay and whatnot. From there, I will open up a celestial pole. And what I'll do then is I'll just make sure it's flat and mounted in. And then that should point me up, and essentially wanting to get the dot in the middle of the reticle there, and that will, yeah, get me as close as a gyroscope app will do. You can do similar things in planetariums and photo pills, as discussed before. So that gets you pretty close, and that's probably all I would use if I wanted to do up to a minute exposures with a 20mm camera or wider, it's going to be sufficient. But if I've been using my 35 a lot lately, and I've found that I do get trails still. For when I want to get a bit more serious, is called SkEye Cam. So when I want to use SkEye Cam, what I'll do is I'll undo my phone mount from the bottom, because I'm now wanting to use the camera on my phone. So I'll just slot it into the ball head that I'm intending to use for my camera. Get the phone mount in there. First thing you have to do when you open SkEye Cam is you need to go in and manually set your latitude and longitude, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt, but you can use the digital compass app I was using before. It actually allows you to just copy location, and you can just copy and paste your details in, so it only takes a couple of minutes, but it would be a lot more handy if you could just copy, it'll just detect. And once you've got the location details in, you click live view. Okay, you'll be set here with presented here with a few different options. So you want your back facing camera, so that will usually be your phone's main camera and the best suited for this sort of thing. Now you can select RAW or JPEG. I'm just staying with the default YUV because it allows to do some hot pixel correction. So at the moment I'm using a 3-second shutter speed, but I'll just bring that into 2 seconds just to make it a little bit quicker. And ISO at 1600. Now focus, sometimes phones do not focus very well, so this is just a manual focus control. So if you're finding you're not getting focus in on your stars, you might just want to play with this slider. Okay, and once you are happy with those settings, now it doesn't really matter if this isn't set too well or too flat or anything. You just want to point it up where it can see stars, your camera. Okay, so you'll click start and it'll start doing solving, and already you can see it's detected stars and it is correctly solving. So what you want to do here is push pause, go up to the menu, calibrate. Now this margin here is just in case you're in amongst trees a little bit and you just want to sort of take them out of the field of view essentially. So here I'm seeing 40 of 40 targets, which is the maximum it really worries about. So that makes it, and auto tune will usually just find it. You may have to pinch zoom and rotate the star map a little bit until you get a match, but I've used this with a Pixel 4a and now this is a Pixel 6 Pro, and I've had not too many issues at all really. So it's got a match there. I'll just click save. Okay, so now we'll go back into menu, make sure live solve is ticked. Then we want to click start polar alignment. Now we want to use gyroscope. That's just in case, it's just an assistance really for helping the solving. So essentially the phone's got a bit of a head start of knowing which way it's pointing. And once you've got that going, click next. And now it's taking photos at those set intervals that you set at the start. And once it's come up and told you it's ready to go on to the next cluster. So to get a new cluster, you'll simply undo the RA axis, lock it down again, wait for it to get another couple of captures collected, and the second cluster is registered. And again, and then wait for the third one. And once you get the stars up, the green stars up on your phone, then you can click next, and from here it's time to come back around and lock it into position. Okay, so once you got it locked in the RA position again, you click next, and now it'll go off and do what it needs to do to polar align. And as you can see here, I have pretty good polar alignment already, as you'd hope, because I've just been taking photos on this mount. But just then, with your alt and azimuth controls on whatever head you're using, I'd probably recommend, if you're going to do this, I'd probably recommend you look at a equatorial wedge, just for that very fine control. I'm still using a 3-way gear head here, it's good, but it's still got a little bit of play in it. But it is very good. So here I can see I'm just a little over 1.5 degrees in altitude. So I need to bring that down. And obviously this will the shorter your exposure time, the quicker this will update. So, well, I'm not going to complain with that. And as soon as you get within 1 degree, it becomes very fiddly. Oop, I went the wrong way, and it's very easy to go the wrong way too. And essentially you just have to follow the prompts on the screen, and it'll tell you which way you've got to go. You're essentially trying to get the red dot onto the green dot. Went the wrong way there, that's not helpful. And yep, you'll eventually get it pretty close, like that. And honestly, anything inside about 30 minutes, inside 0 degree and 30 minutes is about as good as you really need to get, because the periodic error in these small amounts is going to drown out any accuracy you might be seeking over the top of that. So that's it. It's polar aligned a lot more accurately than your gyroscope will ever do, and much more accuracy than just a basic compass. And from here you can just turn on your tracker, take the phone off, and start shooting. Just before I packed up my camera, I did a couple of tracks of 35mm straight in at the core. I first set 35mm f2 ISO 800 for a minute, and then I went to 2 minutes, and then halved the ISO down to 400, then to 4 minutes, halved the ISO down to 200, and then finally to 8 minutes at ISO 100. So just from what I could see on the camera screen, 1 and 2 minutes looked very good. 4 started to look a little bit wobbly, and 8 minutes was a bit of a dumpster fire, which, for this sort of setup, is hardly surprising. But going to show that, this method is giving you as accurate a polar alignment as can be useful for gear of this sort. And anyway, I think that'll just about do it for me tonight. So I'll pack my gear up, hopefully have an image to show you now from the night of the old cottage and the panoramic Milky Way over the top. Thanks for dropping by. Any questions whatsoever, please post down below, and happy shooting.